But our big story at 6, changing the law for the wrongly convicted.
When the General Assembly reconvenes this month, one of the hottest topics will be about Jonathan Montgomery. 10 on Your Side broke that story about the Hampton man's freedom, about 4 years behind bars. After 4 years behind bars, actually, the cameras were there when he walked out of the Greensville Correctional Facility in Jarrett in November.
Montgomery found himself caught in a legal process that has made it more difficult for him to prove his innocence. And even when a judge ordered him released, he couldn't leave prison for another 12 days, and only did after Governor McDonnell granted a conditional pardon.
Well, now the man who kept Montgomery in prison after the court order is now trying to change the law to make it easier for others to prove their innocence. That man is Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelly. Only on 10, Andy Fox talked with Cuccinelly about the case and the law. Andy.
Alvita and Tom, the order from the Virginia Court of Appeals directs Cuccinelly to respond to Montgomery's petition for a writ of actual innocence, that he is innocent. Cuccinelly is not only doing that, he is putting forth legislation to make it easier for people like Montgomery to prove their innocence.
I mean, you believe in his innocence.
I want to see the testimony first.
State Attorney General Ken Cuccinelly isn't sure if Jonathan Montgomery is innocent.
Do you think she could be lying?
I have not drawn a conclusion about that.
And he isn't sure if Elizabeth Coast is now telling the truth, that she lied when she accused Montgomery of sexually assaulting her, sending him to prison.
People started leaping to conclusions, and we're bound by the legal structure that we've got.
Cuccinelly will initiate legislation to ease current law that states an inmate can only be exonerated based upon a finding that no fact could have found sufficient evidence beyond a reasonable doubt supporting a conviction. Cuccinelly wants to change the word could to the less stringent would.
The analogy we've been tossing around is, if I sit here with you, I could be hit by an asteroid. But pick your time period. Would I be? No.
Cuccinelly also wants to fight for people like Montgomery if he thinks the evidence shows the inmate is innocent, and that is not the way it is now.
Another one is to let my office put in evidence of innocence, not merely evidence of guilt, which is how the statute is written right now, which allows us essentially free range to pursue whatever outcome we think is best.
Elizabeth Coast's recantation came more than 4 years after Montgomery was sentenced, way outside the 21-day rule, where new evidence can only be submitted to a court of appeals 21 days after sentencing. Cuccinelly is not for changing the 21-day rule, but he is for a balance, which makes it easier to get around the 21-day rule.
And in my view, Virginia has not struck the right balance. That's part of why I'm going back to try and improve the writ of actual innocence process.
It is unsure in Montgomery's innocence hearing whether Elizabeth Coast will cooperate to say she lied. Cuccinelly pointed out these legislative changes will not get an innocent prisoner out sooner. Only a governor can do that with a pardon, which McDonnell did for Montgomery. Cuccinelly reminded us of that, noting he is now running for governor himself. He is a Republican, and I asked him about the other Republican, Lieutenant Governor Bill Bolling, who got out of the race because of Cuccinelly and who now refuses to endorse his fellow Republican.
Bill Bolling to jump on board before it's all over?
I have no expectations. I mean, Bill's going to make his own decision.
Have you had any conversations with him?
No, in observing what he's had to say, I feel like I might just be an irritant to him, and I have no desire to irritate him.
It is clear those two do not get along. For now, it's a two-man race, Cuccinelly against Democrat businessman Terry McAuliffe. It could be, listen to this, the most costly race for governor in Virginia history. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on Your Side.